bakes bread and cakes. Her English was not very strong, but she wanted to improve. So she began talking to herself every morning. I will bake 10 loaves of bread today. The oven is hot now. The customer wants 2 chocolate cakes. She also started writing short notes in English to remember her recipes. Now she says she can understand and explain most things in English related to her work. We also have Peter, a father of 3. He wanted to help his children with their English homework. He didn't know how to start. So he made a small plan. Every day, he chose one new word. He wrote it on a paper and showed it to his children. Then they made sentences together. For example, the word was clean. Peter said, I clean the table. His son said, my shoes are clean. His daughter said, I will clean my room. Peter says, now we all look forward to our word of the day activity. We laugh, learn, and grow. And remember, English is not just a subject, it's a skill. It's something you use, like walking or cooking or speaking in your first language. If you use it every day, even for 5 minutes, it will become a part of you. You don't have to wait for a big lesson. You don't have to wait for perfect grammar. Start where you are, use what you have, speak what you can. Thank you so much for sticking with me on this journey to improve your English. I'm Natasha, and I'm excited to keep going. This episode is all about how to practice English every day in ways that will really help you improve your listening, speaking, and even writing. So far, we've talked about a lot of little things you can do each day, like speaking to yourself or using small moments to practice your language skills. But now, let's dive even deeper into the world of everyday practice. It's all about making English a part of your daily routine, just like brushing your teeth or having your morning coffee. When you practice consistently, it becomes second nature. Now, let's talk about learning through reading. Reading is one of the most powerful ways to practice English, and you don't need to pick up a huge textbook to do it. In fact, simple things like reading news articles, stories, or even Instagram captions in English can make a big difference. The key is to read something that interests you. Maybe you're into cooking, gardening, technology, or sports. Find articles or blogs about these things in English. You'll notice that the more you read in English, the more vocabulary you pick up. And you'll start to recognize patterns in sentence structure, which will help your writing and speaking. 2. Let's take a look at a person named James. James loves to cook. Every weekend, he tries a new recipe. At first, he only used recipes in his first language, but then he thought, why not try reading recipes in English? So he started finding English language cooking blogs. He didn't understand everything at first, but he learned a lot of new words like sauté, dice, and broil. He would pause after each recipe, look up any words he didn't know, and then say the word out loud. Little by little, he started to feel comfortable with English cooking terms, and now his cooking skills and his English have both improved. One time I asked him how this new practice helped him. He said, not only do I understand more English words now, but I also feel more confident when I talk about cooking in English. I can tell my friends about a recipe I tried, explain the steps, and even give tips. Just imagine, something as simple as reading in English has helped James grow his vocabulary and confidence in both his cooking and English skills. This brings us to a powerful point: reading aloud. If you want to build fluency, you need to speak out loud. Why? Because when you read aloud, you're not only practicing pronunciation, but also training your brain to form sentences and understand English grammar. You might feel a little shy at first, but trust me, this is one of the best ways to improve. Think about Olivia. She lives in a city and works as a teacher. Her daily life is busy, but she wanted to improve her English. especially her speaking. So every evening, after dinner, she took 10 minutes to read an article or a book out loud in English. Sometimes she read aloud to her husband, Paul. He doesn't speak English as well as she does, but she would try to explain things in simple English to him. Even though he didn't always understand everything, it helped her speak more clearly and confidently. Olivia told me, "At first it felt weird to read aloud, but now it's become part of my routine. My husband even asks me to explain words or phrases I've learned. It's helping us both." So you see, reading aloud has a double benefit. Not only does it improve your speaking skills, but it can also help you teach others. Let's talk about another way you can practice every day: listening. It's one of the most important skills for learning a new language. But just like reading, you don't have to listen to boring lessons or complicated podcasts. You can make listening practice enjoyable and practical by listening to things that interest you. Consider Ben, who works in an office. He loves sports, especially football. Instead of listening to random podcasts that are hard for him to understand, he found football-related podcasts in English. He listened during his lunch break and when he was commuting. At first, he didn't catch everything, but he kept listening. Slowly, he started to recognize common phrases, and he could understand the names of teams, players, and events. After a while, he was able to listen to an entire episode without pausing or looking up words. Ben shared with me, "It's amazing how much I've learned just by listening to something I enjoy. Now I can talk about football with my friends in English, and I even understand the sports news better." Ben's story shows us that listening to topics you enjoy can help you learn English naturally. It's like learning through entertainment, but it's still educational. Another great way to improve your listening skills is by watching short, everyday videos or listening to podcasts that are simple to understand. I know it might seem like a small thing, but those few minutes a day can make a huge difference over time. And it's not about how much you listen to. What matters is that you listen regularly. Even if it's just for 10 minutes, it's better than doing nothing. Now, let's talk about writing. Writing is an important skill in English, but you don't need to write long essays to practice. The trick is to write something short and simple, every day. It could be a diary entry, a quick email, or even a few lines about your day. The more you write, the better your grammar and vocabulary will become. I remember when Julie, a nurse, started practicing writing every day. She wanted to improve her English for work. So every night before bed, she wrote down what happened during her day in English. She'd write simple sentences like, "I saw a patient today who was feeling sick," or "The nurse I worked with was very helpful." Over time, she added more details and used more complicated sentences. She even started writing short letters to her colleagues in English. Julie said, "Writing every day has really helped me think in English. I feel more comfortable writing emails to my patients now, and my boss noticed the improvement in my reports." Julie's story shows how a small habit of writing every day can have a big impact on your skills. Here's another idea. Create a language journal. You can write down any new words or phrases you come across during the day. Maybe you learned a new word at work, or you heard something on the radio. Write it down and try to use it in a sentence. If you don't know how to use the word, look it up and practice using it in different sentences. A man named Richard, who works in a bank, told me he does this every day. He has a small notebook where he writes down one new word and its meaning. Then he writes 2 or 3 sentences using that word. He said, "I have learned hundreds of words this way. And now when I'm speaking or writing, I feel like I can use those words naturally." Every time you add a new word to your journal, you're building your vocabulary and reinforcing your learning. And the best part is, you're doing it in a way that's connected to your life. These words are useful to you. They're not random. They're part of your world, your daily experiences. Now, here's something that's very important. It's easy to get discouraged when learning a language. Sometimes it feels like progress is slow, but don't give up. Language learning is a journey, not a race. Just like running a marathon, it's all about consistency and persistence. Every small step you take brings you closer to fluency. Take the example of Laura. She's a doctor, and she wanted to improve her English so she could communicate better with international patients. She didn't have time for long lessons, but every day during her lunch break, she listened to short English podcasts about medicine. She also read articles in English. She said, "I didn't notice the progress at first, but after a few months, I realized that I was able to explain medical terms in English without thinking too much." Laura's story is a great reminder that progress happens little by little. It may not always be obvious, but each day of practice counts. I'm so glad you're still with me. Let's keep going and dive even deeper into how you can practice English every day. As we discussed earlier, making English part of your everyday routine is the key to steady improvement. So, let's look at more ideas you can use to practice English each day. And I'll share a few more stories and examples to help you understand how it all works. One great way to practice is through social media. You might not have thought about it this way before, but social media can be a very effective tool for learning English. Of course, it's easy to get caught up in the photos and videos, but you can also use social media platforms to engage with English content. For example, you can follow accounts that post in English, whether they're about cooking, travel, fashion, or even news. Take Ben, for example. He loves to keep up with the latest technology trends, so he follows tech blogs and social media accounts that are based in English-speaking countries. He started by reading the headlines of posts, then slowly worked his way to reading the captions and comments. Now, when he reads a tech post on social media, he's able to understand nearly everything. It wasn't easy at first, but over time, he started understanding key phrases, terms, and expressions that are used in the tech world. Ben also started commenting in English, asking questions, or sharing his opinions. Sometimes the people he commented on would respond, and he could practice English in a real conversation. Social media makes it so easy to practice, especially when I can see the language used in real-life situations, he told me. It's such a great way to practice because it's connected to what you care about. Now, another thing I want to talk about is using your phone to practice English. Most people today are on their phones all the time. Why not turn this into a language learning opportunity? There are tons of apps available that are designed to improve your English skills. For instance, apps like Duolingo, Memrise, and HelloTalk can help you improve vocabulary, grammar, and speaking skills. I have a friend named John, and he works long hours as a manager. He doesn't have time to sit down for hours of study, but he wanted to improve his English, so he started using a language app during his commute. He would spend 10 minutes a day on the app, practicing vocabulary and listening exercises. Eventually, he felt like his vocabulary expanded a lot. He could notice more and more words and phrases while reading articles in English or listening to the radio. And that's the power of consistency. Those 10 minutes a day really added up. John said, "I like how I can use my phone as a tool for learning. It's so easy to pick it up during small breaks. Now I can understand and speak English more confidently, and I didn't have to set aside a lot of time to do it." Speaking of small breaks, let's talk about how important it is to take advantage of your free moments. Even during short moments in your day, you can take Sarah, for instance. She works in a fast-paced office and only has short breaks during the day. Instead of spending her lunch break scrolling through social media, she decided to spend just 10 minutes reading articles in English. She would also listen to short English podcasts during her commute. At first, she didn't understand everything, But over time, she started catching on. She said, "Even though it's just 10 minutes a day, it really helped me get used to hearing and reading English. I feel like I understand English better than before." These short, consistent practices can make a huge difference in the long run. And don't worry, you don't have to learn everything at once. Focus on a few things each day. Start with simple words or short sentences. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. Another fun way to improve is through language exchange. You might have heard of language exchange before. It's where you practice speaking English with a native speaker and they practice your native language in return. It's a win-win situation. There are many websites and apps where you can find language exchange partners like Tandem and HelloTalk. You can chat via text, voice messages, or even video calls. The best part is, you get to learn real everyday English from someone who speaks it fluently. Take Rachel, for example. Rachel is a marketing manager who lives in London. Although she's been living in London for a few years, she wanted to improve her spoken English. So, she joined a language exchange platform. Her partner was named Carlos, and he was a Spanish speaker who wanted to improve his English. They spoke twice a week via video calls, with each conversation lasting around 20 minutes. In the first few calls, Rachel was a bit nervous, but Carlos was very patient with her. Rachel said, "The more we spoke, the more confident I became. And it was fun because we learned from each other. I helped Carlos with some marketing terms, and he helped me with slang and phrases used in everyday conversations." Rachel's experience shows how language exchange can not only improve your speaking, but also introduce you to informal language, things like slang or phrases that native speakers use in daily conversations. Now, I want to highlight another method that many people overlook: writing in English regularly. Whether it's keeping a daily journal, writing emails, or even chatting online in English, writing is a powerful skill that helps reinforce everything else you're learning. Tom, who works as a software developer, started writing short emails to his colleagues in English. He didn't have to write long emails, just simple, everyday work-related messages. But this practice helped him build his confidence in writing and also in speaking. He said, "At first, I had to look up some words, but now I don't have to. Writing emails has become second nature." Through this daily writing practice, Tom started feeling much more comfortable with formal and informal English. He began to notice improvements in his speaking skills as well, as writing helped him remember phrases and vocabulary. In addition to writing emails, Tom also started writing in a personal journal. Every night, he wrote down a few thoughts about his day in English. This practice helped him connect with the language and express his thoughts more clearly in English. You don't have to write a lot, but making writing a daily habit will improve your ability to express yourself in English. Whether it's in work emails or personal reflections, writing is key for reinforcing your learning. Now let's look at another effective way to practice English: shadowing. This method involves listening to a short sentence or phrase in English, and then immediately repeating it aloud. Shadowing helps you with pronunciation, intonation, and fluency. You're not just listening to the English. You're actively practicing speaking at the same time. If you've never tried shadowing, it might feel a bit strange at first. But don't worry, it's normal. Start small. Choose a short podcast or video, listen to a sentence, and try to repeat it as closely as possible. It's okay if you don't sound perfect. The goal is to practice speaking, not to be perfect. Jack, who is a project manager, told me that he uses shadowing to improve his pronunciation. He watches YouTube videos on business topics and repeats the sentences he hears. He said, "At first it felt challenging, but over time I noticed my pronunciation was clearer, and I could speak more naturally in meetings." Just like Jack, you can start using shadowing with any video or audio that you enjoy. It's a fun way to practice, and it's especially helpful for building fluency. Finally, let's talk about one more important point: setting realistic goals. It's easy to get overwhelmed when learning a language, especially if you try to do too much at once. Instead of aiming to become fluent overnight, break down your goals into small, manageable steps. For example, you could set a goal to learn 5 new words every day or to listen to a podcast in English for 10 minutes every day. These small goals will add up over time, and you'll start seeing real progress. I remember talking to Alan, who works as a teacher. He wanted to improve his speaking skills but didn't know where to start. So he set a goal to speak in English for 15 minutes every day. At first it was tough, but after a month, he noticed a big difference. He said, "Setting small, achievable goals helped me stay on track. Now I feel much more confident when speaking." Remember, every little bit counts. Even if you only have time for 10 minutes of practice a day, that's still better than doing nothing at all. Let's talk now about something very practical: talking to yourself in English. It might sound funny, but it's one of the best ways to practice, especially when no one is around. You don't need a partner or a classroom. You can just use your own voice and your own thoughts. Let me give you an example. Emma is a school teacher from Canada, and she wanted to improve her Spanish. She didn't have anyone to practice with, so she started speaking to herself in Spanish every day. When she woke up, she would describe what she was doing in Spanish. "I'm brushing my teeth. Now I'm making tea. I need to go to work." These simple sentences helped her remember useful words and practice forming sentences naturally. And guess what? After 2 months, her speaking became smoother and faster. You can do the same with English. For example, when you're cleaning your room, try saying, "I'm putting the clothes in the basket. Now I'm folding the shirts. I need to vacuum the floor." These simple actions turn into language practice. You don't need to be perfect. Just try to keep going and describe what you're doing. It helps your brain connect actions with words, and over time, you'll feel more comfortable speaking. Another great method is reading out loud in English. This is a simple habit that can help you a lot. When you read out loud, you're improving your pronunciation, your speaking rhythm, and even your confidence. You can use anything you like: a story, a news article, or even a recipe. Just make sure it's written in clear English and not too difficult for your level. Let's look at Peter. He's an engineer from South Africa, and he started reading short paragraphs out loud every evening. He picked topics he liked, such as science and health. At first, he read very slowly and had trouble with some words, but after a few weeks, he got better. He started reading faster, and the words felt more natural. One day, during a work meeting, he had to present something in English, and he felt calm and confident. That's the power of daily reading. Now, you might be thinking, "But Natasha, what should I read?" Don't worry, you don't need to buy big books. Just search for beginner or intermediate English texts online, or you can take the transcripts from this podcast and read them out loud while listening. That's even better because you can match your voice to mine and practice your pronunciation at the same time. Next, let's talk about asking questions in English. Yes, even to yourself. Asking and answering questions is a powerful way to think in English. Start by choosing a simple question each day and answer it in your own words. For example, "What did I do today?" Or, "What do I want to eat for dinner?" Or, "What's my plan for tomorrow?" My friend David, who works as a driver, started doing this during his free time. Every morning before he left for work, he asked himself 3 questions in English. What's the weather today? What's my goal for the day? What can I do better than yesterday? Then he tried to answer each question in simple English. He didn't worry about mistakes. Over time, This became part of his morning routine. He told me, "Now I feel like English is just part of how I think. So why not try this today?" Choose 1 or 2 questions and answer them out loud or write them down. This not only improves your speaking, but also your writing and thinking in English. Let's now move to something very important: using English at home with family. If you have a husband, a wife, or even children who are learning English too, you can practice together. You don't need to speak English all the time, but you can choose a small time each day, maybe 10 minutes after dinner, to speak only English. You can ask each other simple questions like, "How was your day? What did you eat for lunch?" Or, "What will we do tomorrow?" I remember a story from Adam and his wife, Susan. They live in the UK but speak another language at home. They wanted to get better at English, so they started an English time every evening. At 7 p.m., they stopped speaking their native language and tried only English for 20 minutes. At first, it was difficult, and they laughed a lot. But after a few weeks, they became more confident. Their sentences got longer, and they started using more vocabulary. It became their favorite time of day, and they were learning together. Now, what if your family doesn't speak English or they're not interested in learning? That's okay too. You can still set a quiet practice time for yourself. Choose a time during the day where you think in English, speak to yourself, or write something. This personal routine will help you stay consistent. Let's also talk about a very useful idea: creating an English notebook or journal. In this notebook, you can write new words, sentences, questions, or even small stories. You can write what happened during your day or what you learned from a podcast or conversation. Writing helps your brain organize the language, and over time, it builds your memory. Take Mary, for example. She's a nurse from the United States, and she started writing in an English journal every night before bed. She didn't write long pages, just 5 to 7 sentences. For example, "Today I had a long day. I helped a patient with a broken leg. I felt tired but happy." These short sentences helped her remember vocabulary related to health, emotions, and daily life. After 3 months, she noticed a big change. Her writing was smoother, her grammar was better, and she could speak more clearly too. Writing also helps you review. You can look back and see what you learned or how you used new words. It's like your own personal dictionary and diary at the same time. Try to write something every day, even just 2 or 3 lines. And speaking of writing, another great habit is writing messages in English. If you have friends who speak English, try messaging them once a day. It could be a simple, "Good morning, how are you today?" or "What are your plans this weekend?" If they reply in English, great. If not, you can still enjoy the practice. Let's say you don't have English-speaking friends. That's okay too. You can still use chat apps or online language communities to find people who are also learning. There are many safe websites where learners support each other. You can share your thoughts, ask questions, or just practice polite conversation. Also, don't forget the power of repeating and reviewing. When you learn something new, repeat it many times over the next few days. If you learn a new word today, try using it in different sentences during the week. For example, if you learn the word plan, try saying, "I have a plan for the weekend." "My wife made a good plan for dinner." The manager explained the project plan. Using a word in many situations helps you really understand it and remember it forever. Let's keep building on these ideas and continue working together toward improving your English skills. We're diving deeper into practical ways you can practice English every day, and I'm sure you'll find these tips helpful. Just remember, the key to success is consistency. Small steps every day lead to big improvements. So, let's explore more methods that will keep you motivated and excited about learning English. First, let's talk about setting small daily goals. One of the best ways to keep practicing English without feeling overwhelmed is by setting daily goals. These can be as simple